Hello, hello. We don't have anybody here yet. Um, I did this last minute, and hey, Maze. Yeah, she doesn't schedule her shows until right before she starts. Really, I mean, not too long before. So I wasn't sure if she was even going to have one or not. But I really been wanting to watch this with people because she is really something. She's nuts. Hey, you. Okay, so she did start. She always starts late too, but she did start already. We'll be just a little bit behind. Hello, Fancy.
All right, you guys, let's get started. Happy Monday. You are not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. You probably will believe it at this point because all of it's so unbelievable that we now believe it. Well, last week, we obviously brought you a pretty explosive episode wherein we discussed Liberty University. Because when did Charlie's organization make a sudden switch? Uh, Suddenly, everybody's discussing faith as opposed to his initial goals focused on the free markets and capitalism. When did Charlie's organization turn into a church? Well, the answer, as we went backward, said it began with him creating the Falkirk Center. And now,
Okay, I just want to say who she acts like that is so crazy. Like he was not all about faith. Look at that look on her face. Like, I can't believe it. Hello, Tony. That's so nuts. The way I hate the way she acts. Like just even this. Like she's so surprised. Like he wasn't religious at all. Where did that come from? She is. Oh my god. Well, on her ex, she said she has shocking discovery. So
I am going to reveal to you what exactly happened with the Falkirk Center. Obviously, scandal. Scandal, which I now believe could have led to the fall of both men, actually, Jerry Falwell Jr. and Charlie Kirk. Plus, later on in the show, Megyn Kelly is saying no to the Israel lobby bullying.
right.
She gave a powerful statement to Tucker Carlson, who has just been declared an enemy of the state of Israel alongside little old me. I'm not kidding. Welcome back to Candace.
Yeah, well, Tucker compared that Renee Good in Minneapolis to Charlie Kirk. Not kidding.
Where should we begin, you guys? Let's just say that there have been a lot of misguided PR operations since Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I think that that is putting it mildly, right? A lot of PR blunders, so to speak. Let's see, there was a Operation He Wasn't
Right?
Catholic Curious, followed by Operation Candace Hasn't Spoken to Charlie in Years, followed by Operation LOL Egyptian Planes. Followed by Operation Debunk Mitch in Fort Huachuca with baby mama drama, Huachuca mama drama. That was a lot. And I guess what I really mean when I use the word misguided is that whoever is in control of these operations has a bit of a lead foot. You know what I mean? Too much gas on the pedal at all times. The immediate force that's being applied to these psychological operations, they go from 0 to 100, has sort of made the panic behind them pretty obvious to us, the public. It feels like there is someone who has a lot of money to spend, but maybe that person who is in control of spending the money happens to be an idiot. Like he's just phoning people up, like, I'll give you $600,000 and have that money transferred in your account with Bitcoin today. If you just say these words, Candace has gone crazy. Charlie wasn't Catholic. Mitch, his baby mama, is it's a crazy man. Crazy. Everybody's crazy.
Wow.
The expression used in the UK that my husband uses is rich and thick. That's used to describe a dumbass who has a lot of cash on hand. Okay. Now, frankly, I have to say, in retrospect, the weirdest operation of all, which still persists today in little pockets of the internet, was Operation LOL. Candace has dreams. Why did she talk about her dreams? How dare she discuss her dreams? Only weird people have dreams and then tell others about them. Ugh, dreams are ridiculous. They shouldn't be listened to. So the question becomes, who exactly is making these terrible PR decisions? Like, who thinks, yeah, what we need to do today is we have to attack the dream. Just go at it and do not let up on the dream. I think I know the answer. I think it's someone who feels personally victimized by the dream. Show of hands, who feels personally victimized by Candace Owens' dreams? And to be honest, it's sort of hilarious that I didn't put two and two together sooner than today. So let's go backward, okay? In the
I know,
immediate 3
right?
weeks following
That's
Charlie's
the thing. She
assassination,
acts like
I
her
was obviously
dreams
in a haze. I'll be honest, I think I told you this before, but I was not sleeping, I was not eating, and I was
the problem is she acts like her dreams are legit. That like they actually mean that it's some kind of evidence. But she wants to make it like, oh my God, who would talk about their dreams? Really? She's so
having incredibly vivid dreams. I began dreaming like I hadn't dreamed since I was a child because it was every night. And to be honest, it was overwhelming. I didn't like it. I felt like Charlie was haunting me. It stressed me out. I expressed that to my husband through many tears. He told me that I should consult a priest, which I did. And we spoke about souls in purgatory. Anyway, today I feel that it is time to tell you the entirety of the repeat dream that I was having in those early weeks. It was actually a replay of an actual lunch that Charlie and I did have in the past. Back in 2018, Charlie and I went to Israel together. And in the dream, we were sitting in the exact same restaurant on a patio. And Charlie began the conversation saying something that he actually said, a real memory from that trip. Charlie was sitting on the patio and he was eating hummus. And he's like, "This is the best hummus I've ever tasted in my life." A dramatic oversell. I always feel there are certain places that people hype so much that when you go there, you feel like you have to pretend it's the best thing you've ever experienced. Otherwise, you sort of let yourself down. It's like, this is the best ever. And truly, I didn't love Israel. I didn't love it even when I was a Zionist because it felt dangerous. You could sense the Muslims hated the Jews. It felt like we were on a tour. People were sneering at us. I just didn't
wow.
love Israel. I've expressed that many times in the past, but Charlie was getting into the character. It was the greatest thing he had ever eaten. Anyways, the setting of this particular dream, however, had one dramatic difference. We were not there for the opening of the embassy. And this difference, by the way, I don't really understand yet. I'm just sharing it with you. Instead, we were there in this dream setting for Bibi Netanyahu's wife's funeral. Again, that makes entirely no sense. I've never met his wife. I've never spoken about his wife. I know nothing about his wife. So that's just the context of it.
Okay. Look at somebody wrote in her chat. That's why I kept the chat going on here. I want to see. Look at this. Erica and her daddy had Charlie killed. These people are wow. I know. Right, Texas? Exactly. It is vile.
Of it. I don't make the
Wow.
rules of Dream World. And obviously, as we were sitting there, it didn't strike me as weird because when you're in your dream state, everything that happens for some reason feels like, oh, yeah, this is totally normal. Anyway, Charlie said to me, "I don't have much time." He followed that up, explaining to me that I needed to see what happened on his left. And he told me explicitly, they betrayed me, multiple people. And I said, "I know, but who?" Then came the frustrating part of the dream. Every time I would say who, when you're in a dream and you go who, or you try to speak in the dream, and then suddenly you're actually speaking in real life and you start to wake
Right.
yourself up from the dream by accident. That's what kept happening. And whenever I would try to listen to what he was saying, it
Isn't
sounded
it?
like he was underwater. So I was frustrated by this. I can't get to the part where you tell me who betrayed you. It wasn't until the third week after his death that finally one face came through in this dream. It came through as clear as day from around the corner of the restaurant.
Okay, Maeve.
And it was Andrew Colvet's. Now you have to imagine in the immediate aftermath of this, I was not thinking Turning Point USA. Where we're at today is almost like unimaginable going back there. In fact, I was very friendly with Andrew Colvet. We had spoken extensively in the aftermath of Charlie's death. I've known him for years, and I felt really weird about
She
having
is
seen him in
talking
this
about
dream,
dreams.
but it was so vivid and it was so compelling that I felt that, as weird and as odd as it was, that I had to text him and tell him what I saw. And this is the text, just sharing with you so you guys know if this all really happened. I said, I rarely have vivid dreams, but I had one clear as day this weekend. Charlie came to me and he sat down and he told me that he did not have much time, that I needed to know that he was in fact betrayed and that they are hiding what happened to my left. I believe his soul is in purgatory, and I believe that you know much more than
Yeah.
you've said publicly or privately. And Andrew Colvet never answered. Last time Andrew Colvet and I spoke. Now, of course, fast forward today, and we learn that it's been Andrew Colvet orchestrating all of these attacks, actually, got caught red-handed. It's sort of ridiculous that I didn't just assume that
I
earlier.
do too.
Like I said, that's not where my brain went in the aftermath of Charlie's assassination. I thought these are good guys who loved Charlie Kirk. But the question I'm now arriving at is why? Why, if it was just a dream, why does it require so much effort on the PR front? Why are we mocking dreams, right? Maybe it wasn't just a dream. In fact, thereafter,
Because it's ridiculous. That's why people are mocking it. It's ridiculous. See, I hate the way she acts. Like, she's being so sane and she can't believe how people are behaving. This is so, oh my God. And that's bullshit that she didn't go after them very quickly, because she absolutely did. That's a lie. That's another thing. She's a liar.
what I can tell you now is that two people within Andrew's inner circle reached out to me and told me that I should look more into Andrew Colvet. Okay. I'm going to tell you another funny story because it now makes me, the irony of it is pretty thick. Back, and this is another story about me and Andrew, back when Charlie was alive and things were great, Andrew called me up. This was actually the end of, I want to say, ahead of AmFest. Yeah. The notorious AmFest that Tucker spoke at. Andrew called me up and he asked me.
She likes herself a lot. She does. Yep.
I'm not kidding. In earnest, he asked me, "Are you a witch?" I laughed at him on the phone. I was in London and I said, "No, why? What a ridiculous thing to ask me." And he said, "Well, because we just noticed that when some people attack you, really bad things happen to them." And then he proceeded to tell me, which I did not know, quite horrifically, that Dennis Prager, who had just written this open article about me, and it was not done in a very nice way, had actually fallen, and he was very seriously injured. There was nothing funny about that, and that he was, having to speak out and type out of his mouth.
That's what I was going
And
to say.
then he kind of went backwards and was like, the Daily Wire thing and the Jordan Peterson thing, and like bad things are happening to people after they attack you. So then I realized he was being serious. He was like asking that question seriously. And I remarked to him, "No, but I have really bad rebounds, not just from other people, but to me as well. I've explained this to you guys that if I do something bad, I immediately, the karma of it, I would experience. Like if I stole your phone today, it was just sitting on a counter and I stole it from a restaurant, I'd go back home and my house would be burned to the ground. That's my kind of very swift karma hits me fast." Anyways, the point is that despite this bizarre question that he asked me about witchcraft, it's him that's the one that's orchestrating all of these attacks, and they have been backfiring on Turning Point USA. And I now understand why exactly it is that he's been leading these attacks, and Liberty University was actually the key. We spoke about the Moonies cult, right? That's what we spoke about on Thursday. I told you guys all about this Korean man, Sun Young Moon, who was
She did meet with Erica. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what happened there. She said they gave her a bunch of information she was looking for, which I don't know why. They don't owe her anything. That's the thing. She keeps saying, they just have to answer my questions. No, they actually fucking don't. Nobody has to do anything. You're not law enforcement. That's what I don't understand with her. It's just an investigation, okay? Well, you're not law enforcement. And she keeps saying things like, wouldn't you think the FBI would look into that? Okay, well, she doesn't know what they're looking into. They're not calling and telling her anything. So stupid. But yeah, what she had said, if Erica asked her to stop, she would stop. So when Erica asked her to stop, she said, she asked me to stop lying. And she's not lying. So, but yeah, I'll show you this thing that she acts like Ben Shapiro is harassing her and won't stop talking about her. Like, oh, you mean the way you won't stop talking about Turning Point, about Erica? Yeah. Yeah, she loved Charlie so much, she's trying to ruin his organization. She's so gross. She's so freaking gross.
Actually working for the CIA, Assad, while leading effectively what became a religious cult. They were buying up land, buildings, entire blocks, all these different companies, while convincing the masses that it was actually for the Father. Moon had minted himself as a messiah. And then he got involved with Liberty University via Jerry Falwell Sr. And my conclusion of that episode was that the true aim of Turning Point USA Faith was to transform Charlie Kirk into a messiah of sorts, whose image that they could control in his death. And obviously an image that the public couldn't question because of how horrifically sad it was. We all watched him be assassinated. In fact, that might be the answer to the question, why did they want us to watch it?
Yeah, me too.
You wanted to kill Charlie Kirk, but why did you want the entire world to watch it and feel emotionally moved as we have been by this assassination? For good measure, I should now tell you that the Moonies cult was riddled with claims of sexual rituals, physical and psychological abuse, and of course, as we've covered already, financial corruption. So much financial corruption that it actually led to a political assassination in Japan. Remember 2022? Let's go back to 2022 in Japan, because I'll tell you the reason behind this assassination, according to the person who committed it. You guys know how Turning Point USA has evolved from a charity asking for a check or asking for a one-time credit card donation to now asking for people to pledge their 401ks, their property, basically a means for the elderly they've established to include Turning Point USA in their wills. And doesn't that just feel a little bit icky? Doesn't that just open the door for old people, the elderly, going senile and then maybe accidentally signing away their lives before they die, their estates? Turning Point wants to be included in your grandma's estate planning. I don't like that vibe. Well, that is precisely the reason that the Moonies cult ended up leading to the assassination of the Prime Minister of Japan. The Prime Minister, you remember him, Shinzo Abe, the longtime Prime Minister of Japan. He was shot and he was killed because a 41-year-old man blamed the Prime Minister, whose family did in fact have long-running ties to the Moonies Church, the Unification Church, as it's called, and whose cabinet was factually closely associated with the Unification Church. He blamed him for promoting that church, which eventually bankrupted his family. This is per the New York Times. They wrote, quote, in an internal audit, the governing Liberal Democratic Party found that some 180 of its elected lawmakers, or almost half of its entire membership in Japan's parliament, either accepted donations or attended events held by the church and related organizations. That is ringing a bell here. Anyways, back to Abe. Abe's assassination was conducted by a man that was destitute and he was broke because of the Unification Church. They had brainwashed his mother in her old age, brainwashed her into giving the church all of his family's money, and she left her sons, his family, so destitute that he and his siblings
Yep.
often didn't even have enough money to eat. And they became so
Exactly right.
despondent that his brother committed suicide and he himself had attempted suicide. Again, I'm just telling you what happened factually, obviously, not a justification for him to have assassinated the prime minister. But it's the story here is compelling. And if I'm being honest, that is exactly the strand of ick that I got as I was watching AmFest and this tent and like the microphone and like put into a case and set. It's like the ghost of Charlie. That's exactly the strand of ick that I got. Like everyone was on stage speaking about the Lord, but no one was actually meaning the Lord. It was instead watching a charismatic cult, people who were trained in tactics of manipulation, preying on weak minds of their followers and people who actually love Charlie Kirk. And of course, that explains the Hollywood tint to it
Yeah.
all
Go
as well.
Max. Yeah. That's
Anyways, you're
another
probably
one of
wondering,
my
what does this have to
favorite
do with Liberty
movies.
University? Well, funny story. I was contacted by people who are still at Liberty University, still working in Liberty University's office, and they told me that I had a couple of things wrong. And I will say allegedly here, allegedly. They told me that Jerry Falwell Jr. was also taken down,
Right.
unfairly taken down, is what they said. Essentially, the entire pool boy scandal, that was the sex scandal that took out Jerry Falwell. And the circumstance which Jerry Falwell eventually spoke out about, actually himself, confirming this person inside of events, was that his wife was indeed having an affair with the pool boy. And that affair was then used to generate a ton of articles and then used to force his ouster out of the church. And this person claims that it was
Well, it's so hard to understand how this is going to have anything to do with anything, right? And this is the kind of stuff she does. She will be like so blown away every time, you know, there's somebody in the mix. She's like, and guess what? Their cousin was married to somebody that was in the military. Yep. All these connections to the military. She just can't. You're going to be hard pressed to find anybody who doesn't know somebody that has been in the military. I mean, yeah, Sarah, I'm not even kidding. Are you the only one that supports Candace? Is that what you mean? I don't support her at all. I think what she's doing is so disgusting. She doesn't have evidence of anything. She has these wild. What I don't like is what she's doing to Turning Point. I think it is so horrible.
corrupt pastors, evangelical pastors, that wanted him out and wanted to put an end to the Falkirk Center. Okay. So to back this up, Charlie Kirk and Jerry Falwell came together and established what was the precursor to Turning
wow.
Point Faith. I was around for that. The aim was to harness the energy of Charlie's brand with the youth and to turn that into ministry for evangelicals and to inspire young people to go to Liberty University, to sign up and to go to Liberty University, because Jerry Falwell Jr. had turned it into a very profitable school. And he had separated it from the church, wanting the finances not to be mingled with the church, which was something that his father had not done. There was no separation between the church and the school when Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive. Well, apparently the pastors who made a fortune while Jerry Falwell Sr. was alive did not like that. They did not like the separation of the church and the school. They wanted to profit from the school's earnings as they had done in the past. Again, I'm going to say allegedly. But this person inside, they've got access. So when Charlie Kirk came around and wanted to expand things in a way that would not directly benefit the church, they weren't so keen on that idea. Now, this person that I spoke to is my favorite kind of source because she disagrees with me passionately on the topic of Israel. She said, I have to speak up irrespective of that because what they did to Charlie is wrong. And they're lying about what happened. And I know that something is not right with these pastors because I know these men. So yeah, they established Jerry Falwell, Charlie Kirk, the Falkirk
Oh,
Center in
Frazzle.
2021. And I want you guys to remember that, interestingly enough, when Charlie Kirk was
Yeah,
meeting
that was really
at
bad.
Liberty University about establishing that Falkirk Center, a certain Johnny Moore inserted himself into the meeting, the planning sesh, so to speak. He just pulled up a chair. Now, you remember I told you about this Johnny Moore character. At this time in 2021, when he was back on their campus, there was no reason for Johnny to actually be there, even though he kind of grew up on the campus. He did. Johnny had been at that campus since he was 14 years old. We'll get into that. But he had quit his job as the lead pastor of Liberty University back in 2014. And yet here he was coming up with a reason to be there, snooping into Charlie and the Falkirk Center. And you should know that when Johnny left Liberty University in 2014, he went to Hollywood to start
Thanks
the
for being
PR
here,
company, the Kairos Company. Andrew Colvett, like he's a part of he was a part of the Kairos Company. You'll recall that he's Johnny Moore's partner, protege. I don't know what you want to call it. But when that Kairos
Yes,
company got
that's great.
established, Andrew Colvett was the executive vice president, and he effectively was working for the Kairos company, Andrew Colvett, and then got hired to be the PR guy for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Another interesting point that this source told me is that Johnny Moore, despite going to Hollywood in 2015 to work with, and I should mention here, Mark Burnett, it's who he went to go work for. Mark Burnett is a very big name in reality TV world. If you're in your head like I did immediately when I thought about that, I was like, wait, wasn't Erica on a show randomly? What's the show called Summer House in 2019? Interestingly enough, when Mark Burnett took over MGM, became the chairperson of MGM, they did acquire. He owned Summer House. So that's interesting. So there could be a connection there. There could not be one, but I'd be interested to know who her PR person was there, and I will ask how she got on the show. Anyways, back to Andrew Colvett. Back to Johnny Moore. Johnny Moore immediately and consistently, despite establishing the Kairos company, wanted his job back at Liberty University. He wanted to be still a part of Liberty University. And the question is why? Why was the Kairos company so interested in keeping a leg inside of growing evangelical organizations? Do you remember back when the ADL put me on their list before I got fired, before the whole Christ is King debacle? That's what they put me on the list for. And then a year later, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and a certain Reverend Johnny Moore created a report and doubled down explaining that Christ is King is in fact actually anti-Semitic. And they created this whole video graphic to show that I was a radical for saying Christ is King. Yeah, that's Johnny Moore and his beliefs pretty much in a nutshell. Like he just does disastrous PR to defend the state of Israel. But boy, is it earning him some money. He serves on the ADL task force. He received the Medal of Valor from the Simon Wiesenthal Center. These are the organizations, by the way, they were born out of Zionist gangs, literal gangs, just to be clear. And they are the very organizations behind the initial attacks on me that have from the beginning been meant to pull me and Charlie apart by drumming up weird anti-Semitism scandals and then having donors demand action. Anyway, I want you to hear Reverend Johnny Moore in his own words so you can catch his drift, catch his vibe, if you will. Take a listen.
So now, I'm involved in the ADL in all kinds of ways. I'm a part of the ADL and Aspen Institute Civil Society Fellowship. I'm on the advisory board for the Aspen Institute and ADL Civil Society Fellowship. It has shown me where we have to keep our eyes on certain trends and certain ideas, and when people say things, what they actually mean. It's been not only an amazing educational experience, a practical way for me to get into this fight against hate for good, but it has also afforded me the opportunity to learn so much along the way and to meet so many different people. And I can tell you, again, I'm not Jewish, I'm Christian, and yet I've just always felt at home, in the ADL community.
Now let's hear him, but let's put him in a yarmulke. Take a listen.
I know the state of Israel is strong. It's as strong as it's ever been. The truth is, you don't need us. But what I want you to know is that, need us or not, we are committed to building a great wall of Christian Zionism all over the world to push back the forces of anti-Semitism. But that also includes educating well-meaning Christians on our own history of Christian anti-Semitism.
So who is that guy? Who is Johnny Moore? Where did he come from? The answer is actually quite compelling. He was a kid that grew up in the Lynchburg, Virginia area. And I'm just going to actually read this first sentence from Christianity Today. It says, Johnny Moore was only 14 when he first stayed in the dorms at Liberty University. And since then, he's pretty much remained at the school that Jerry Falwell Sr. founded 41 years ago in Lynchburg, Virginia. Moore and his single mom family briefly lived in the dorms after his parents' divorce and a temporary stretch of homelessness. Okay. Now, somebody that went to school with him verified exactly that. They said he was a kid who grew up outside of Lynchburg. In high school, he was very poor. Very poor. They stressed this. Not a problem, obviously. I was poor too. But they also mentioned that Johnny had some severe daddy issues. I am told directly by someone who went to school with him that he made a name for himself in a long way. He got caught with some porn magazines and was pretty badly made fun of. Okay, kids make mistakes growing up, but it gets more interesting when you learn that suddenly little Johnny fell into a lot of money. He had a male mentor who bought him and everyone in his family, allegedly, brand new cars. So Johnny was po no mo. And this daddy mentor of his is the one that pushed for Jerry Falwell Sr. to give Johnny a position with Liberty University. That man's name is Ron Godwin. It's Johnny's mentor, Ron Godwin, the protege of Sun Myung Moon, the Moonies cult. Sun Myung Moon, who led this Moonies cult, picked Ron Godwin not only just to run the Washington Times for him, which I told you they purchased the Washington Times, but Moon also declared Ron Godwin to be one of his 3 disciples, declaring, and I quote, "You will be like the 3 disciples of Jesus. Each one of you will put yourself in Jesus's position and multiply 3 disciples of your own." So Sun Myung Moon says, I am like Jesus. I feel like I'm blaspheming just saying that. And he picks this Ron Godwin guy and he says to Ron Godwin, and you will pick 3 disciples of your own. And
What in the world? Oh my God. She's blowing me away. What the hell does any of this have to do with anything? I'm interested in this. Shame on Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles. I need to look into what that is about because Michael Knowles was, I think, defending her for a while. I thought he was. He's acting a lot like Tucker Carlson.
And yeah, we can confirm that looks like one of Godwin's 3 disciples, so to speak, was Johnny Moore, who minted the Kairos company with none other than Andrew Colvett of Turning Point USA. Looks like this. If we look at that in an organization chart, yep, he's a declared disciple. And I guess I should have put technically Johnny beneath him. And Andrew, I'm wondering if Andrew is Johnny Moore's disciple, or I don't know, one of Ron Godwin's 3 disciples. We're not sure.
Why is she
We can
calling
tell
me
you that when
disciple?
Ron Godwin retired from Liberty University in October of 2014, of course, his Johnny boy left too, right? Johnny was his protege. And Johnny, that's when Johnny went to Hollywood. But then all of a sudden he wanted back in at Liberty University and he was told no repeatedly. And without Daddy Godwin to push through his paperwork this time, there really was no pathway for him to end up back at Liberty until lo and behold, in 2021, as his executive vice president, Mr. Andrew Colvett, is now managing Charlie Kirk, the most unbelievable thing happens. Jerry Falwell gets ousted from Liberty University. Jerry Prevost is named as his successor. And the very first thing that Jerry Prevost does is he fires Charlie Kirk And he also moves rather immediately to reinstate none other than the sometimes lurking Johnny Moore, paying him, I am told, an absurd amount monthly retainer. And I'll say allegedly here, even though my source comes directly from inside Liberty University. So I feel pretty confident that the information I received is accurate, that they just ousted and they said, Johnny's now back and influential and making money here. So what's the point here? Take me very seriously when I say that Turning Point Faith is problematic. The organization is intended to be the Moonies 2.0. The intention behind the Moonies cult, by the way, in case it's not clear to you, was one world government achieved through the concept of a unification church. We are all being brought in by the, I guess you could say, their version of the Lord, which is just, I don't know, some CIA clone, somebody that you can get behind. They are repeatedly establishing a messianic figure, and they're expecting people to follow them because how dare you question the Bible? It's all really sick when you think about it. And yeah, Andrew Colbert, I think my dream might have meant something. And that's why you've been completely freaked since. Anyways, we'll be right back after taking a brief break. All right, you guys, new research is revealing.
What? That was a lot. Hey, try me. I don't even know. She is batshit crazy. She is. I know. What the fuck was all that? Disciples? Stop. Okay, let's see what. Mm-mm.
For propagandists is that it seems that their grandfathers are all involved in the Korean War. They were all captains or lieutenant colonels in the Korean War. And I keep telling you that it's really important to recognize this strand of military corruption. I think that's the reason that the Moonies cult was established in Korea during that time, and that it is very likely that the entire thing was just a CIA operation, and they are attempting that again via Turning Point Faith. And that's the reason Turning Point USA Faith wants to get into real estate. It feels like they're buying up so much land, and now we're having these fires that are happening all around the world, these natural disasters, and they're trying to tell you that these disasters are natural when it's becoming pretty apparent they're not. It feels like these are land grabs, and you should be allowed to think through that with what I am telling you.
They are land grabs. I believe that 100% also. But what is the way she's so surprised about Charlie Kirk wanting to getting involved with real estate, and he was talking a lot about people, how hard it is for people to buy a home lately. He talked a lot about that. There's nothing weird about it. He very much encouraged family. Every asinine thing she comes up with, she acts like it's so monumental.
Anyways, avoid the faith grift in 2026. Something that is happening at the same time, obviously, is that all of these people seem to be radically obsessed with Israel. It's another component of this. It's just you can't let Israel go. It's almost as if the Mossad and the CIA, there is no separation between the two. It's why Bibi used to work for the CIA. If you've followed past episodes that we've done, I think we uncovered that during our Epstein series, but don't quote me on that. It feels like that is the strand that explains everything. Like our entire media is bought and paid for. Everything is in service of this foreign country. And they're growing increasingly dangerous, increasingly more radical, increasingly more desperate, despite having the entire United States military at their beck and call and being able to, mass murder American troops to fulfill their interests overseas. They are coming to terms with the fact that they're losing a grip on public opinion, which means a lot, actually. Okay. It's important that the illusion or it was important that the illusion of their victimhood was kept. I think that's something that Bibi Netanyahu actually underestimated. He underestimated how much of it, he was like the magician who believed in his own magic. He underestimated how much of it was successful in convincing all of us to be Zionists because we were operating under the illusion that they were innocent. And he went too far. He killed too many people. Gaza woke up a lot of people. And now they're pretending that the issue is not what they're doing. It's never what they're actually doing. It's not that they're being accused by their own people of conducting and covering up these sex rituals against children in their forests. It's not because of the fact that tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been killed and that they've been intentionally targeted because they're conducting a genocide. The problem is that we're noticing it. And the enemy, therefore, is speech. It's people on a platform speaking about their crimes that are problematic, not the crimes that they are committed. Again, this is the logic of psychopaths. Well, Knesset, it's like their Congress. There was a Likud party representative who got up and gave a speech and declared me and Tucker Carlson to be enemies of the state of Israel. Me and Tucker Carlson, who are calling for peace, we are calling for national sovereignty. We are calling for people in Congress to actually serve American interests. And that apparently represents an existential threat to Israel. Here is what he had to say.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Knesset, I stand here in Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people, to sound an alarm. We are used to enemies from outside. We fight terror tunnels of Hamas. We fight the ballistic missiles of Iran. But today, I look at the West, our greatest ally, and I see a new enemy rising from within. I am speaking of a poison being sold to the American people as patriotism. I'm speaking of the intellectual vandalism of Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear about what this is. They claim to fight the woke left. They are no different than the woke left. The radical left tears down the statues of Thomas Jefferson. Tucker Carlson tears down the legacy of Winston Churchill. The radical left says Western civilization is evil. Candace Owens says the roots of our faith are demonic. It is the same sickness. It is the same moral relativism. It is the same hatred of the West dressed up in a different costume.
Yes, to be clear, that is dangerous. The Likud party, and I was quite literally, someone was plotting my murder. Actually, a year from the date that Charlie was murdered on September 10th, someone was plotting my murder and got discovered, and that's still making its way through the courts. These people are calling for violence. That's the implicit threat here. They're all growing increasingly more radical, and they're feeling threatened by speech, which is why I implore all of you, which I see that you are, which is why they feel threatened, to continue to use it and to recognize these people are incredibly dangerous. They are very dangerous. When a person is unwilling to say, here is what I did wrong, especially when that person has murdered tens of thousands of children, what they're doing down in Venezuela, Argentina, when they say the issue is people recognizing what they're doing. Argentina, they are tweeting. I mean, they are in the streets shouting against Zionism. And we're supposed to believe it's because everyone just hates Jews, everyone hates God's chosen people, or because you can no longer convince people that you are murdering, stealing, plundering, raping in the name of the Lord. I think it's the latter, but these people are dangerous. Okay. If anything happens to Tucker Carlson or me, you obviously know that Israel was involved. Obviously, that is unbelievably apparent in their rhetoric. They're name checking us. They're calling us on stage. There's
Right, because you're not pissing off a lot of people. It was just the French Foreign Legion, right? What? Last month? 2 months ago. She's still in the middle of a lawsuit with the Macrons. Wow.
They're sending their goons out to harass us because we believe in America first and that we should stop getting involved in their interests, and that it is unacceptable, frankly, that our government gives more flack to Tucker Carlson, our government representatives give more flack to Tucker Carlson than they did to Jeffrey Epstein. That they choose to cover up the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein.
Actually, nobody is giving flack to Tucker Carlson. That's a problem for me. They need to be. He's a problem. And they're not saying anything. So where in the hell is she coming up with that? Oh my God.
While pretending that speech in America is what's actually radical, not people who are actually harming children and abusing children sexually. We don't even
Who the
have
hell's
a
doing that?
government, in my view. Like, we can't even protect the nation's most innocent. How do we even have a government? I guess that's a larger philosophical question. I do now want to cut to the sad fact that it seems that women in the media have been braver than most men in the media, who seem to just be bending the knee and taking it and calling themselves heroes or tough guys, but not willing to stand up for speech. At the very least, stand up for speech in America. Megyn Kelly sat down and discussed. She's been at length under attacks. They are adding her to their list. It's very obvious because
Definitely
she
on
simply
my
won't
list.
bend the knee. She has said nothing wrong. She actually is a Zionist and she supports Israel. But for them, they learn that you must fully allow us to control your speech or we'll attack you. You know, we will assassinate your character, essentially. Assassinating the character comes first. Well, here's what Megyn Kelly opened up to Tucker Carlson about on his.
People don't like Megyn Kelly because she says that she cares about Erica Kirk and refuses to tell this one to shut up.
His show, and here's what she had to say.
I've gotten notes from all of these people, dear friends of mine over the past 2 years. Thank you so much. You make me and my family feel safer. These are pro-Israel Jewish friends of mine in the media. You make me and my family feel safer. I love you. My family loves you. God bless you. These same people have now turned on me, and some are calling me an anti-Semite. Why? What did I say? What did I do? Did I step on a rake and say something super anti-Semitic without realizing it? No, it's because I won't defriend you, and I won't condemn and say that Candace Owens is hateful. They want me really, really badly to condemn Candace Owens. And I'm sorry to break it to them, but I am responsible for what I say, not for what anybody else says. I am not Candace Owens's policeman. And by the way, they're kidding themselves that if just one more voice will say something nasty about Candace, she could finally be controlled. Like, how well has that worked so far? But again, the instinct is to stop her speech, stop it, make her stop it, make Tucker stop saying the things. Well, I have no desire to, and I have no power to. And for that, I was called a coward by Ben Shapiro at the Turning Point event, AmFest, in December, who, by the way, in my last exchange with him, literally said, our friendship, his and mine, is too important to both of us to make it depend on whom else we are friends with and aren't friends with. That is literally the last text I have from Ben Shapiro. The next thing I knew, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point calling me a coward for this very thing.
Listening to that is just so real. And it always starts with something like that, just controlling speech. Like, I have been no fan of Nick Fuentes, but I remember the peer pressure campaign that came from the pro-Israel lobby to compel me to say something about him. Why? Just like she is saying, I'm not his mom. So this was way back when I didn't even know anything about his content, nothing. I knew who he was, but I wasn't watching Nick Fuentes' show. He was kicked off of every platform. And they were just demanding that of me. I remember the text messages from Seth Dillon trying to compel me to say something about Nick Fuentes. And the emotional manipulation of it all. I'm going, why do I have to say something about Nick Fuentes? There's like tons of articles about Nick Fuentes. He's been kicked out of all these events. Why do you need me to personally do it? That's what it's about. It's about making sure that they can control your platform. And I'm sorry, they behave like a gang, as I have expressed many times. That was my experience. You behave like a gang, trying to basically say you're not allowed to have a mic and speak unless you're willing to bend the knee to us. And it's frankly speaking wrong. And what I think is more wrong than even that is that so many men have microphones and don't come out and condemn it explicitly, vociferously, name names. Like you should just like obviously recognize, and not even condemning the fact that they're bullying these people, but recognizing rather the threat to our speech. That's real. You purport to say that you care about American values. Okay. People want to get laws passed. People are bullying people, trying to compel them to speech. People are making threats to people's livelihoods. And in some cases, as I believe the case with Charlie Kirk, some people are killed, are actually murdered because they can't get controlled.
But where was this shocking discovery? I think I missed it.
So if you're going to purport to be a person that cares about American values and purport to care about the fight and recognizing what we are up against, you might want to recognize that this Israel is starting to squeeze Americans. And by the way, beyond anybody else, forget the men that have microphones. I actually want to say that our government allowing another government, another party that I'm compelled to give my tax dollars to, I'm compelled to actually give my tax dollars to Israel, allowing them to stand up and declare me an enemy of the state. I have to pay for that. Where's JD Vance on this? Where's Trump on this? Where are all of the Congress members on this? I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking that that should be unacceptable? The way that they speak about us while we have to fund their military exercises all around the world, their military aims all around the world. I mean, it actually drives me totally insane that I have to pay these people my taxes. I have to go to work. We all have to go to work to support.
Well, a lot of things piss me off about what we pay. I'm not happy about a lot of bullshit that happens with our tax dollars. I know this is where, what the hell is she saying? Where is this shocking discovery? Oh my God. No, I can't listen to that anymore. I can't listen to that. She didn't say anything. Last week she was bringing up my high school, and she's bringing up a lot of shit about Arizona last week. Look at this, though. This is really good. You guys, this channel is awesome. He's really good.
Let Ben Shapiro rent space in your head. Just keep moving forward. We are building, right? It's not about whether or not this isn't about winning or losing. It just needs to stop. Like, I can't explain to you. It's getting, there's something about it to me that just is starting to feel dangerous. It's like there's an obsession here. There's an obsession with me that is happening. And I would like it to stop. That's it.
Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her? Stop.
I would like you to just leave me alone. There's something about it that feels parasitic, and I'm asking for it to stop. I am, and I hope that is enough.
We were told that if we said stop, they would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop.
And I would like for it to stop.
To stop. To stop.
Because she's a widow, we can't question her judgment. And I want to say that I reject that. I reject emotional manipulation.
That's all I have to say. Stop.
I just want it to stop. It's a no from me. I wouldn't let Ben Shapiro rent space in your head. Just keep moving.
Isn't that good? Yeah, that channel is really good. He does a lot of okay, I won't play too much. He does a lot of okay, this one is really good.
Is Trump going to start a war in Venezuela?
I don't know the answer. I've certainly been on the phone a lot about it. I have no power. I'm a podcaster.
So I look at the landscape now, and the people who have some ability to change the country's orientation on foreign policy, and those would include Marjorie Taylor Greene, J.D. Vance, Matt Gaetz, me.
I have no power. I'm a podcaster.
Is Trump going to start a war?
This guy does a lot of Tucker versus Tucker. It's pretty good. Yeah, this is
to the just, hey, all you have to do is say straightforward, I was not there. I was not in Cochise County on this date at this time. This is not complicated. But when this comes up on someone's huge following, you answer it. You just do, okay? If you have an easy alibi, you just freaking do. I'm so sick of this pretending like, well, I don't have to answer all this crap.
Right.
No,
It is
actually,
stupid.
you do, okay? Sorry, but you do.
They can deserve the scrutiny they get in return for not giving those answers, right? The suspicion that comes with that, that's part of not giving those answers. So it's a two-way exchange.
I totally agree with you on that.
Okay, so if they don't provide any alibis, then what happens? Does this just stay open-ended and then it keeps being the main focus?
Well, they did. That's the point. And that's why this is now, that's why I named this why it suddenly really matters, right? So if they had like kind of stayed out of it and we're like, well, I'm not even going to answer because it's so stupid, then we're like, okay, well, maybe he's just wrong. And that would be what it was. He would just be wrong. He wouldn't be a liar because he was where he said he was, you know, and the people that were there, and Captain Neff was whatever. But they did give an alibi. So they do care, right? So if you have to give someone an alibi, it's because you don't want people to think that you're there. An alibi is not needed if there's nothing to hide. So that's why it matters. I think that's why it matters.
See how gross that is? It irritates me that people do actually entertain her crap. I don't think they should have given her an alibi. They don't have any reason to answer to her at all. But she's trying to say that their alibi is no good. Then she's always wanting him to answer her. And then they answered her and she said, well, it wasn't, she doesn't believe the alibi. Oh my God. Wow. That was exhausting because I did not hear any shocking discovery at all. And yeah, Maze, I'm with you. I was thinking she was really going off in the weeds a lot, it felt like to me. So I kept thinking, am I not paying enough attention? I'm missing it. Well, that was a big nothing, which that's what everything is. Right? Seriously, that's what she put on her ex. Let me see. Shocking discovery over the weekend, which directly ties the Moonies cult to TP USA faith. I didn't hear that. I did not catch that they were. Oh my God. Hey, Mama. Yeah, that was nothing. I mean, it usually is nothing. But sometimes it's entertaining. That wasn't entertaining. That was boring. So, sorry about that. That was no bueno. But, okay, I'm going to get off here. I thought we might actually have thought we were going to get some really big news. So didn't happen. But I will be back soon. And I hope everybody has a great day. You don't think a lot of these people that listen to her. Yeah, well, but a lot of people are getting threats based on what she's saying. People are going after people big time. Her people are crazy a little bit. Well, and there's a lot of them. That's the thing. There's a lot. But, okay, well, if she comes up with something good, we'll share it. She had a dream. Right. Yes. Texas. Yes. That is what I got out of it. I don't know about the damn Moonies. I don't even understand what the hell that shit's about. Hey, love you. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, hit the like button, please. Bye.